Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I am recording a video that's specifically for one of the college students that I'm working with. He is going to be a freshman in college this year, and he's working with me as a financial coach to start to figure out how to manage money. So kudos to him and to his parents for making sure that he's getting that extra education. If you'd like to work with me or have a college student work with me, I'll put links in the description below for you to do that. But I wanted to show you 5 things about YNAB that I think are so important for college students. And I'm leading off with the first one, which is, and I forgot this while I was working with him, so I'm sharing publicly that I screwed this up. As a financial coach, you can get 3 months free for working with me. Standard YNAB trial is 34 days, a little over a month. But as a college student, you can actually get your first year of YNAB for free. And that's here at ynab.com/college. And it's got all of the details of what you do. It's not real hard to get it, but make sure that you take a look at that if that is something that interests you. We're going to go over here to YNAB and see these other 4 things that I think are really important, especially for new YNAB users who just may not realize that these things are possible. So if we look at the accounts, right now I've got 2 accounts, a checking and a savings account set up, and I can rename those and give them any name that I want. But one of the things that this young man and I were talking about yesterday is that he also carries some cash. He's like, I know you can't record cash in YNAB. Actually, you can. So let me show you how to do that. When you go to add account, you just do an unlinked account. And you're going to call it my wallet or whatever you want to call it. And you can do cash. The reason we give it a name is because you can actually have multiple cash accounts. So maybe you share YNAB between you and a spouse or a partner. It could be his and hers. It could be that you have money that's in. We used to always have like a drawer in the house where extra cash was, petty cash was. Maybe there's the drawer and then there's the wallet. So you can have multiple cash accounts if you want to. And let's say that we don't have anything in there right now, but we're going to actually move things to it. So when I've got that done, notice the starting balance is 0, but I'm going to go ahead and withdraw money from my checking account and carry it as cash. So I'm going to say that happens today, and it's going to be to or from my checking account. So this is going to be from my checking account, and this is going to be petty cash if you want to give it a memo, and this is going to be inflow to cash. So we're going to put it over here, and that's going to be $50. So what just happened here is you have $50 in your balance of cash. And if I come over here to my checking account, notice that I transferred money to my wallet, no category is needed, and that already recorded that outflow. So you only have to record it in one spot, but now you can use your wallet against things that are in your budget. So let's just look at what that looks like for one transaction. So let's say a friend took you to the store and you, we'll call our friend Monty, and Monty gave you a ride to the store, and so you are going to give him $5 for gas. So that is as easy as it gets as you are working through using cash. Now, let's head over to the plan side because now we have a budget amount that we need to cover here. So let's go ahead and assign to our getting places. Let's go ahead and assign $50 there, and that'll make that green. So I've got money available for that as the month goes on. Excuse me. And I don't know why that didn't. There should show $5 in activity there. It's showing. Oh, because it's tomorrow. I'm like, why is that not showing? Let me go fix that. Let's actually make this today. Let's make that today. There we go. There we go. And we'll approve that. And now it will show the way I expect it to. There we go. That was weird. All right. So the next thing that this young man is working with is that he receives scholarship dollars, and that's why that savings account balance is high. And so he knows he's going to have to pay his tuition. He's got the money and he wants to assign it. Well, he can actually come out here to a different month. You can just use this little toggle to go out a month, and he can assign his tuition here. And I think he said his tuition was $6,500. So there we go. We can do that. And then we can keep going into future months, but you can only assign sequentially. So if he wanted to assign tuition for like January now, he'd have to put a placeholder in each of these to move that out. It's something I wish YNAB actually allowed, because there are some weird things like tuition where you only pay them a couple of times a year, but I get why they do that. You can't necessarily give money a job so far out if you're not tracking it. I use this funding the future all the time. In my personal budget, I have a category up here that is the essentials. I'm self-employed, and so I fund those first, and I might fund those multiple months out in whole so that I know that I've got my essentials covered for 6 months, 12 months, whatever that is, and then I can fill in the needs and the wants around over extra months as time goes on. So the next thing I want to show you, though, is things like a date-bound goal. So one of the other things I found out with this young man is that he is going to get to do a study abroad to Italy next May. And so we want to come down here to this study abroad, and I think he said it's going to take $800, and we're going to say that's going to be due by June. So let's create a target here. And it is going to be a due by date, and this is due by January of 2027, and he needs to have $800, and he needs to have a balance of $800, and he'll have to pay that out. So once you do that and you hit the save target, now what it's telling me is in order to do that, to get to that June date, I need to save $114.29 every month to get to that date. So we could, because we have this big balance up here, we could just go ahead and say, well, there's $800. That's going to fund that every month that it needs to be funded. But I could borrow from it and it's still going to adjust that. So let's say that something happens and I don't have this big ready to assign, and I need to borrow from this to cover emergency fund or books and school stuff or things like that. We could do that at any point, and move that money over there. So that's always an option that we can do. Let's do that same thing with this getting places. So there are different kinds of goals or targets you can set. So I'm going to set a different kind of target. And for this one, this is going to be monthly, and we want to have $50 every month. And what we want to do is we always want to refill it up to $50. And I'm going to say we want it by the first of the month and not the last of the month. So that is depending on the due date or the variations in how you get paid or whatever. You may want to play around with when it needs to get filled. Because as this young man and I were talking yesterday, he's like, I don't like to see the red or the yellow. I want green only. And I get that. So if we save that target, what that will do is it's always going to keep track of it for us in every month. So if I come out here, it's showing that we need to get to $50. There's only 45 left in it. So if I add $5 more to it here, that turns it appropriate here, but I would need to put in 45 more to meet my target. That seems weird. I guess it's assuming I'm going to spend it this month. But if you know you're not going to, you could already pre-fund it in the next month. So there's still some mental math that you have to do. The last thing I want to talk about is the emergency fund. Emergency fund comes as a standard item in every YNAB budget, and it is never too early to have an emergency fund. When I was talking with this young man about it yesterday, I was like, what do you think an emergency fund is for? He's like, well, like the stuff I forgot to budget for. Absolutely. That is a perfect example. We do also have this stuff I forgot to plan for. This also comes standard in every budget. I like to use this one for a little slush fund during the month that I can take care of, like sort of regret free. So if I've got $25 that I can put down here and I can use that for things I forget to plan for. I like the emergency fund as something a little more substantial. So maybe that's $1,000 if you have, especially if you have a car, and it's an older car, that can handle car expenses that you're not planning for yet. Obviously, with really sophisticated YNAB use, we try to plan for all of those things over time, but especially when you're starting out and you're a new college student with limited income, that can be really hard. So if you have the cash, or if you can start to build up the cash to get to $1,000, that can be a really good start on that emergency fund. I hope this has been a helpful look at the different ways that you can use YNAB, especially as a new user or a college student. And if you'd like help with YNAB, don't forget to reach out and schedule a free consultation. See you later.